Hello, I'm Walter Schwabe. I'm candidate for council in Strathcona County's Ward 2. But behind me is not Ward 2, it's actually Ward 5. Behind me is an area of Bremner, and in fact in the distance you can see Highway 21, and behind that on the other side of Highway 21 is an area called Cambrian Crossing. And you know, Bremner has come up in this recent election. There are candidates out there talking about Bremner, and residents are actually asking me about Bremner at the door, which is why I decided to do some further research on it and deliver the facts as I found them to you here now. Bremner has been, from what I can ascertain from my research, an issue that's been on the minds of council, in fact 5 previous councils, including this most recent one. It has been a hotly debated topic, no doubt about it, because this is what, Bremner looks like right behind me. Lush Class 1 farmland predominantly, not solely, but there is Class 1 soil in this area. And as you can see, the harvest has happened on this field already, but this is what much of Bremner looks like today. And so as a result of coming up at the doors, I looked into it. Now, back in the last election, this was again a topic, and I was against Bremner as an area growth node. I did some research. There was a study put out by the City of Edmonton that stated that the City of Edmonton spends $1.35 in taxes for every dollar they collect to service developments outside of the Henday Ring Road. And that, from my perspective, obviously, and I'm sure everyone watching this can see that that's a losing proposition financially. When I look at Bremner and its location, I look at that as from an infrastructure perspective in the distance, this was an issue for me, and which was why back in the last election, I was against Bremner as an option for growth here in Strathcona County. Now Mayor Roxanne Carr was running to become mayor in that election, as everyone knows. She stated that she would do 2 specific things regarding Bremner. 1, bring it to a vote in council. 2, vote against it. Well, as many of you watching this video will know, council did bring, Roxanne Carr and council, Mayor Roxanne Carr and council brought this forward and passed Bremner 6-2. The 2 councillors or members of council who voted against Bremner, Councillor Paul Smith in Ward 5, the ward I'm standing in right now, and Mayor Roxanne Carr. So it did come to a vote. She voted against it, so did Paul Smith. 6 other councillors voted for Bremner. Now, if you'd like to know why they voted, I would suggest and recommend you speak to your councillor that was on council and voted for it, one of the 6, and ask for their reasonings. However, that's as soon as they voted, the Municipal Development Plan for Bremner passed the first reading. That Municipal Development Plan from the county was then sent to the Capital Region Board. And ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not know that we are a member of a capital region here of 24 municipalities, and Strathcona County being one of them. And each one of those municipalities needs to submit a municipal development plan up to the Capital Region Board for that regional development plan. Once this previous council set that in motion, the Capital Region Board looked at it and said, okay, now we're going to switch Bremner from a growth node designation to an urban area. They also removed Colchester off of the books in terms of an option for a growth node. Colchester is gone in terms of it being an option. So then the Capital Region Board sent the Municipal Development Plan back to the county. Council then gave it a 2nd and 3rd reading, and the vote was 6-2. So this decision for Bremner has been made. Now there are candidates out there speaking about reversing Bremner. Now here's my take on that. 1, it's incredibly difficult, nearly impossible to do. 2, for this coming council that will be voted in on October 16th. 2, if that was to proceed, the outcome of this decision is fundamentally set for not only the region, as far as the region is concerned, as I've just stated, but now people are making decisions potentially in terms of business, either the sale or purchase of land, the planning of businesses in where they're going to locate. Other regions, our neighbors directly surrounding the county, are also making decisions based on the fact that this decision has been made. So one clear disadvantage I can see in terms of trying to reopen this whole issue and reverse this decision is it will greatly erode Strathcona County's reputation in the region. It will undermine investment in the region. If no one can depend on a council decision to stay intact on something as serious as this, how can they ever depend to invest billions of dollars in our county in the future if they can never depend what a county council does? That is just my very simple first take on what would happen if we decided as a council, and if I was to become councillor and sit on that council, if that was something that was brought forward and even contemplated. One of the things about democracy is that you should be getting an opportunity to speak on something as serious as Bremner. Now, I looked into that as well, and of course, this has been an issue, as I've said, hotly debated and contested for years. In fact, this most recent council had 2 years of open consultation, 2 exhaustive studies of both Colchester and Bremner, lots of discussion in chambers, also discussion in the community. There were several opportunities for residents to continue to voice either their concern or support for the Bremner decision. That time has passed. Now, we are in an election, as we all know, and this is the time, as residents and as voters, we get to vote for whom we want to lead the vision forward. I don't really want to go backwards. I don't want to create a situation where the county may land in court defending lawsuits from people who have made decisions based on the fact that council has pushed this forward and that the Capital Region Board has made its decisions. This can be an absolute disaster as it relates to our reputation and also defending this decision or reversal of the decision. When you go to vote on October 16th, please consider those things as you decide who should be mayor in the Strathcona County area and also who should be your councillor in your particular ward. I, again, want to make it clear, I was against Bremner as an outcome. Had I been on council in this previous council, I would have voted against Bremner for the specific reasons that I've stated. Now, having said that, I have not been, obviously, in all those exhaustive meetings and reviewing line by line each study that was presented to council. So I want to say that. However, there was obviously compelling reasons on some level for both Bremner and Colchester as areas for growth. Here's what I'll say in terms of whether we should grow or not. I believe that we need to set the vision for the next 20 to 30 years. This council has an opportunity to do that. Our economies are shifting. And so when I take a look at Bremner, if as a councillor for Ward 2, I am forced to sit down and look at a vision for Bremner and influence that discussion, here's what my vision for this area would be. I believe that we need to set up an agri-hood, or an agriculturally focused neighborhood here in Bremner. I believe that, of course, we have this wonderful Class 1 soil, and I think that we should be able to leverage it as much as possible. So agriculture should be at the center of this development. Further, the world needs food. We need to solve the world's food problems. We have tremendous skills in this county. We have scientists, we have engineers, we have software programmers, we have all sorts of wonderful people who understand agriculture. We have teachers, and we have, the list can go on about the brain power and capabilities we have here in the county. As a councillor and on this council, I would look to cultivate that leadership, cultivate those skills, and have them weigh in on how an agricultural neighborhood could be built here in Bremner. Further, I believe that there should be an agricultural sciences and biosciences campus here in Bremner as its central purpose for being. When you ask the question, why should anyone move here to Bremner? Why would they want to live out in this really beautiful area, but then maybe commute into the city or drive some distance to get to their job? What would get them to move here, maybe stay here and live here? Well, look, we are very, very strong in heavy industry. We all know that. Strathcona County has 75% of Western Canada's refining capacity. We are incredibly fortunate to have that heavy industry here. Yes, we do need to continue to diversify within the carbon economy and as far as petrochemicals go, but I strongly believe we need to diversify our economy even further into science and technology. I believe that information technology should become a strength. I believe that biosciences and agricultural sciences should become a strength. And I believe Bremner, again, if it was to go forward and develop a vision for this, I think that agriculture and science should be at the center of the Bremner development. We're talking about 20 and 30 years down the road. Emerald Hills is a development that happened overnight, in fact, that took 10 years to come to fruition. This is something that I think we should continue to talk about, obviously. But I have been asked more than once, what would be my position if I had to make this decision, Bremner or Colchester? I was always a proponent for Colchester if I had to pick one of those two. However, this council coming in has been given that decision. The decision is Bremner, and now we have to stand up for Strathcona County's reputation. We have to stand up and make sure it's solid, and then we have to make the very best world-class agri-hood and virtual, or not virtual, but campus in terms of agricultural sciences and biosciences here that we can. Plug ourselves into the world, solve some of the world's food problems, and use our skills and talents to its maximum potential. Ladies and gentlemen, from Bremner, I'm Walter Schwabe. I hope you'll vote for me on October 16th for Councillor in Ward 2.